Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Ted Ings with Ed Roberts at Bozard Ford Lincoln. Ed and I have an amazing colleague we want to introduce to the Roundtable community. It's Joel Furno. Joel Furno in Columbus, Ohio. He's the founder and CEO of a company called CITRIN, CITRIN Automotive Hospitality. Joel, welcome back, and welcome Ed to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Ed.
Hey, good to have you here, Joel.
Yeah, great to be here.
Ed, this comes at a time in the industry when the big discussion out there is, hospitality, making sure the customer is greeted promptly on the drive, and Joel falls squarely into all those pegs.
Well, dealers get so involved in process and they lose sight of what the customer experiences. And when you refocus back on that, that's when you can really bring hospitality back in. And hospitality is truly the experience of what the customer feels as he goes through that, whatever's happening. So bringing hospitality back to automotive is huge.
Joel, tell us about your story and CITRIN.
Yeah, thanks, Ted. Well, our story actually starts in the hospitality industry. In college, with $200, I started a valet parking company, working with high-end hotels and restaurants, and really focusing on how do you hire and train and motivate hourly employees who are the face of your organization and the face of these high-end restaurants and hotels to show up in uniform and the elements and do the job. And so we got really good at that. And we were kind of running out of restaurants to go after as I was graduating. And lo and behold, I got a call from an auto dealer who said, "Hey, every time I go to one of your restaurants downtown, your people are phenomenal. And they greet me, they hustle. And for the life of me, we can't find great porters to represent my dealership. Can you help me out?" And I said, "I'd love to help you out, but what's a porter? I don't know what you're talking about. I've never been to a car dealer before. I'm a hospitality guy." And he said, "Don't worry about it." And he paired me up with Don Andrus, who I know is a good friend of both of yours and has been a guest on your show. And Don was our first client, our first fixed ops director. And our whole focus was bringing people, process, and leadership and turning the service drive into a valet operation. I think everyone's been to a restaurant or a hotel that has valet service. It's very impressive. The doors opened. And we wanted to bring that experience to the car dealer. And not only that, but we found there was a lack of processes between lot organization, prioritizing waiters versus non-waiters, and how much that impacted the service advisor and the technicians when these basic functions aren't upheld by a professional team. So we've gotten really deep into that. And 14 years later, we now are with 70 dealerships. We have around 800 employees working inside of car dealers that are completely light labeled and inherently involved, locking arms to our partner to serve the customer and improve the overall efficiency of a service department.
Ed, that human challenge is so important.
It is, and the just bringing that element of process and that element of the added little things that we don't even look at in a car dealer because we're not looking at through the customer's lens on how it makes feel. The opening of the car door, the consistent someone there to guide them in the right direction, make them feel comfortable, and then the structure behind it to prioritize where cars need to be for waiters, for ones that's ready for pickup, for the various different things, so that it has a natural flow to it. And we're not what Joel didn't tie on there, but some of the byproducts is our techs spend less time going all over the parking lot looking for things. So we actually pick up production. And there's so many positives that comes from that.
Joel, do you want to speak to things like that? I think that's important.
Yeah, I think we knew we could bring a better level of hospitality to this dealership and to the automotive industry. But what we didn't realize was how much pressure the service advisors were under to sell more gross for CSI. And then if you look at a service manager, I think it's the hardest job in the car dealership. The span of control of a service manager is huge. And you have almost a separate department who are your porters, your valets, your shuttle drivers, loaner car management. And those fall down. They're viewed as non-revenue producing roles, but they impact all of the revenue producers from the advisors to the service manager. And we found oftentimes the service manager is the most expensive porter because they're spending hours jumping down the service drive to cover that. Little things by greeting the customer and realizing that the service advisor who the customer is assigned to is with another customer. And so to keep the customer from jumping down their throat or having to wait even 30 seconds, dramatically improves that first experience. And I think if you think about pulling into a car dealership to get your car serviced, and either there's two scenarios: there's a line out the door, you're backed up, you might just leave and go to work because you don't want to deal with the chaos, or you pull in and it's a barren service drive and nobody greets you for even 10, 20, or 30 seconds. How does that feel to the customer?
A lot of times that 20 or 30 seconds feels like minutes.
Yeah, it does. So these little things add up. And I do have a lot of compassion for service managers because you can't be good and great at everything. I've spent 19 years of my life, which is, as of this year, half my life, focusing on solving one problem, which is how do you hire and motivate hourly employees to do jobs like these. And so to try to do this on top of everything else that a service manager is asked to do, I like to say you're not going to keep your lights on by having great porters and valets, but you're not going to get from good to like great to world class if you don't have a strong professional team of hourly employees who are ensure that the customers are greeted, the cars are moved efficiently, cars are getting washed, so you're not losing surveys there. And then you get into mobility services. Ed, I know you've mastered this, but even trying to manage complex pickup drop-off operations can be taxing as well. And there's more and more pressure on dealers to offer this hospitality level experience and all these additional services that didn't exist 20 years ago. And it just puts more and more pressure on that service manager. And that's where we're positioned to try to help solve that problem and bring good people to the dealership to serve these roles every single day.
Well, you brought the right word to that. You said world class. And that's something that they don't look at through that lens. They look at it as, oh, I have someone to do that. And what ultimately they do, they have someone to do that, but then they ask them to do 15 things. And when they need them to do it, they're not there to do it. And that removes that ability to be world class. And when someone's focused about to do it, it gives that opportunity for them to be there. So it gives them a leg up already right from the beginning. And let's face it, valets are one of the bookends of the dealership. We got our website. That's introduction to our dealership. We got, when they call in, the voice that they talk to, whether it's AI, whether it's a person, whatever, that is introduction to our dealership. When they drive into the store, the first person they come in contact with is the person that represents our store. And then the last person that they see is the person that represents our store. So when you got to get those bookends right to get the rest of it right. If you miss one of those, it's hard to overcome any of it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Joel, your hiring process is unique. Your training and retention. Speak to us a little bit about that, because a lot of the folks who work for CITRIN, who work for you, have actually graduated and moved up in the automotive world as well.
Yeah, I mean, our mission is really two-part. One, obviously, we have to provide value and tremendous value to grow our business and to deliver in this industry. But really, underneath of that is to create transformative job experiences for these hourly employees. I think part of the mental health crisis our country is seeing is these 18 to 24-year-olds don't know what their purpose is. And the most beautiful thing about car dealers is every personality that exists, there's a job for you at a car dealer. Right? If you like talking to people but you don't like hunting, you'd be a great service advisor. If you like working with your hands, you're a technician. If you like being in the office. And so part of our calling is to really nurture these hourly employees and help lift them up so they can either grow with our company into a career or grow into the car dealer. Of our over 100 managers that work for us, 60 to 70% started off as porters and went through our leadership development program. 150 of our employees last year were hired by our clients at no cost to them. For them to move into upward positions. So the service advisors, we now have our first couple of service managers over the years who are now service managers of dealerships who started off with us. And I've met so many great people in Ed seat and then the general manager seat and even principals who started off as an hourly employee. And so we don't want to take away that pipeline. We want to actually enhance that. And a couple of tricks I can share. We cast a wide net on Indeed. We've gotten very good at pay-per clicks to make sure our ads post the highest. And then as soon as somebody fills out an application for an hourly job, they need to get employment. And so you're competing against Chick-fil-A, Target, all these other hourly employees are trying to attract hourly employees. And so you have to view them as sales leads. And it probably shouldn't be the service manager, but somebody has to be following up with these folks immediately, getting them on the phone, talking about how great the dealership is to work for, and get them scheduled for an interview with the service manager, whoever's interviewing these folks. And so we've centralized our recruiting processes in our office here in Columbus, Ohio. So anywhere we go in the country, we post ads, we drive funnel, and then we hire about 3% of applicants that apply for our company. And there's drop off at every tier, right? And so we do a video interview, phone screen, background check, and we go from application to hire in about 6 days. Most dealers we talk to take 2 to 3 weeks to go through their hiring process. And for hourly employees, again, they need to make money. Along those lines, we pay them weekly. And we're also introducing retention raises where they make up to $2 more an hour over the first 2 years. So they have a pathway to earn a couple more dollars an hour, and they're not jumping ship for the next buck they can make. A couple of mistakes that we see, and we actually can probably share some, we're using AI to determine fair wages in the market. If you're trying to squeeze a couple dollars an hour off of what you're paying them, then you're not going to get good people and you're not going to be competitive. So paying market rate and an extra dollar an hour means a lot to these folks. Again, I know expenses are important and managing expenses are, but this is not a place where you want to try to shave a few bucks. There's other places in the dealership that are inefficient, but trying to squeeze a few dollars an hour off of the hourly team is not a place where I think there's ROI positive to do so. And then from there, it's what's your onboarding experience. So our people go through our training on hospitality, our values, our expectations, and we actually do it in reverse. Here's all the things we're going to do for you: flexible scheduling, fair wages, retention tiers, vacation time, upward mobility opportunities with us or our partners. Here's all we're asking for you: communicate with us, live our values, show up on time, look great, and have a good attitude. And everything else will be taken care of for you. And so I think making sure they have a good onboarding experience, and most of the onboarding experience, let's be honest, Ed, you know this, is here's your shirt, go follow Bill around. He'll show you what to do, right? He'll show you where to park the cars and how to greet the customers. Making sure those guys have a good onboarding experience is great. We also incorporate our clients. Our uniforms are white labeled. We don't want us to feel like an outside vendor. And so we take the values of our clients, any training videos, any internal marketing that the dealership has about their family history, about their principles, about anything about their group. We pipe that into our training program. So our people receive a check from us, part of our organization, but they know who they're working for, and they know that they're inherently a part of that organization. And I think that also helps us move people from our company seamlessly into our dealerships the more we do that. So again, hourly employees are usually across our entire country, not just automotive, are viewed as an expendable resource. But we've really chosen to, our whole business has been to invest in those people. They can't clock out until they tell us how they're feeling. I know everyone's talking about how this generation is sensitive. They are. Their feelings are important to them, maybe too important. Mm-hmm. They can't clock out of our program until they tell us how they're feeling. And if they're below a 3, they get a call from someone in your office just to see if they're okay. We've also partnered with a nonprofit called Marketplace Chaplains. For $7 an employee per month, we have a chaplain, a care partner, come around to every single dealership every single week just to ask our employees, how are you doing? Is there anything going on in your life? We get a report on what's going on in these folks' lives, and 95% of the issues are not work-related. They're mental health issues. There's financial stress. They have a sick parent or a death in their family. And so I think just having compassion for what these folks are bringing to work and providing resources to them is important. And that's what we're trying to beat the drum on, is take care of the little guys, and they'll eventually be your next technician, your next service advisor, your next service manager, which the good groups like that, I'm sure you have a litany of people who started off in hourly roles who are now running departments for you. And I think that's a really important part of the automotive heritage of this industry. It's one of the last industries you can show up as a 17-year-old. And if you just work hard and you pay your dues, you're going to have an amazing life for yourself and for your family.
So I want to take that and run with it for a few minutes, because if you take I'm going to talk to the audience for a second. If you take the last 5 minutes of this that you just watched and play that over and over again, you can learn so much from it. We're asking for these guys to come in entry level and pay them the bare minimum and ask them to go be lube techs or whatever else. They have to buy tools and they have to do this. They have to do various different things. And we're going to pay them the minimum, and they can go do that at other places without even having an investment. And Joel says, hey, let's go get the cream and pay them a little bit better, because now you don't have that constant turnover. But I want you to go back and look at one element of what he said. He said 3% of our applicants we hire. That means 97% doesn't make it through his hiring process. So he has things that he's going to make sure that they can represent, not only for his company, but the companies that he's asking to represent out in the market as well. And then he offers a support, and that's one thing that we can talk about the younger generations, we can talk about whatever, but without offering them support, then they don't feel like anybody cares about them. And just making those connections and offering support and being there for them, just having somebody to talk to, is huge. So if you take those from the 7-minute mark to that 12-minute mark and listen to that 4 or 5 times and pick up something from it each time, you can make your store better already. And then if you want to dump fuel on that, then call Joel and see how it's really happening.
Joel, you're a breath of fresh air, and we appreciate your insights. They are very much noted, as you just heard from Ed Roberts. You've also taken your approach, the valets on the service drive, and you've enhanced that in order to pick up some vehicle acquisitions on the service drive for dealers who want to explore that opportunity. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's fascinating what you're doing.
Well, there's a quote I love that says, innovation is usually born out of pain. And over the last year, we've had a handful of cancellations, more than we've ever had, from folks who said, hey, we love your service, but my GM's putting me under pressure and I have to cut expenses. So I've got to go back in the house and save a few dollars, or think I can save a few dollars. And it only took that happening, feeling sorry for herself for a few months, from like, well, if we're not happy with how fast our company is growing or how much money we're making, then we're not adding enough value. So it's not, in this environment where the industry stands right now, and maybe it's our marketing, maybe it's other reasons, but we have to do more than just be a great valet service to grow our business in this industry, in this climate. And so one of the things I kept hearing about, and Brian Kramer's doing a great job, beating the drum about it across the country, is the fact that there's a tremendous opportunity that exists. Everyone's trying to buy more used cars. It's expensive to get cars from the auction to the dealership. There's all kinds of things going on, and yet there's 50 to 100 cars coming through an average service department every single day, and nobody's having even a conversation with them if they'd be interested in trading their car in. And the last thing I'm sure Ed can agree with this is that you want is a bunch of salespeople swooping all over your service drive. The valets are already greeting every customer. We're already doing custom tailored word tracks to greet every customer. So what we've done is add 2 sentences, and we can tailor this based on whether a dealer wants more appraisal volume or wants more qualified leads. And the 2 word tracks are, hi, while you're here for service, we're offering complimentary appraisals just to give you an idea what your vehicle's worth. Would you like us to go ahead and get that taken care of? It's completely free and it doesn't take any more time. And what we're seeing is 20% of customers are saying yes to that. If we would like more qualified leads, we're saying, hey, we're short on used vehicles. We'd love to buy your car. Would you be interested in having a conversation with a specialist? And so what we're doing is we're aggregating a funnel of, again, 50 to 100 customers, and we're identifying the top 20% who aren't having an offer shoved in their face or a salesman jumping on them. We're giving them the top 20%, and we're checking them in with the advisor to open the RO before we then introduce them to the salesperson, so the service doesn't slow down. So we also are seeing that there's a lot of pressure in a lot of dealerships of the service managers and directors know what resource they need, but the GM is looking out for the P&L and is constraining that resource. And so to get the proper staffing levels paid for and turn this unapplied labor expense into a revenue producer, we're now testing out having our valets help generate leads for the dealership so that we can help them buy more cars. And it doesn't take that many acquisitions for us to pay the entire labor expense. And now it's a profit center, not a cost. So that's what we've been working on recently.
So let's chime that back in there as well, because here's what car dealers do. They put a salesperson out in a service drive and beat them over the head. Well, what do salespeople do? They're there to sell a car. So they're not truly interested in giving that customer the value of theirs. They're interested in selling them a car. So they don't make the right connections. But when you tie process to it, process can be done consistently over time. And so everyone gets the same experience and it feels natural. And that's what you just talked about. It's part of our process. It's part of what we do. And the organic things that's going to come from that is you're going to acquire vehicles and you're going to sell vehicles from that. But it's process. So the audience needs to take that process is what drives results.
Well, and we've stumbled as we've tried. So we have to have a weekly call with every program. We have around 6 that we're testing right now. We're starting small and making sure we can do a great job with it. So we have a weekly call with every location manager, our quarterback on the service drive who's running the program. Yep. And we're tracking their number as percentage take rate against ROs. And we're incentivizing our valets $4 if they get an appraisal lead, and then $1 to the leader who's on site. And then every week they get at least 10% of the ROs say yes to an appraisal. They get a $100 bonus. Every week there's a contest on who had the most appraisals gets a $50 gift card. So wow. We have to track it every single day. We have a check-in call Monday morning. We have a group call Thursdays, and you have to stay on top of it because although this is a huge opportunity, you have to have the right software. You have to have the right approach on pre-texting the customers. I think equity mining is great, but you're still missing customers if you're not touching everyone. You have to have a good sales team who know how to have the right conversations that are unoffensive. And again, they're not trying to shove a new car down their throat, they're trying to be a consultant. And then you got to make sure that the valets are doing it. But what's so cool is we had a kid get 12 appraisals in one day. He's making $15 an hour and he made an extra $48. He's over the moon. And so it's now an opportunity to help these guys earn a new skill, pay them a little bit more money in a way that's justified because they're creating more value. So really excited about it from all tiers to kind of bridge service and sales together, allow us to create more value, allow our employees to earn more money, and to help just improve the overall profitability for our partners.
Joel, I'm taking notes, and I see Ed Roberts has been taking some notes as well while you're speaking.
Absolutely, and it all ties together. You're there to support and then raise the level, and bring it into a level where the customer feels good about it, and that's what hospitality is how you feel. It's not the transaction that you went through or the process that you went through. It's how you feel about that. And great job.
Well, and also ensuring that that this unapplied labor is covered, right? If a service manager needs an extra person or two because they're short staffed, but they're up against cost pressure and they can't get it approved, this is just another way of saying, allowing them to get the resources they need because it's feeding the other department too. So really excited about the future of that and taking our valet company and actually be an offensive weapon versus just I hate the term unapplied labor and that we're just a cost, a necessary evil. So trying to figure out how we can evolve past that.
It's only in the absence of experience.
Yes. Ed Roberts and I are speaking with Joel Furno. He has a company. He's the founder and CEO of a company called CITRIN. They're in Columbus, Ohio. CITRIN Automotive Hospitality. They're all over the country. They're working with dealers. They're helping to find the right people as valets to work on your service drive. Joel, my last question is, when dealers or retail managers watching this come to you, what do they typically say? What kind of situation are they in that prompts them to reach out and maybe have some questions answered as to how this might work in their situation?
Yeah, typically it's just getting tired of the revolving door of having to continue to interview and hire. I think the industry average I've heard for these hourly roles is 300 to 400% turnover. So that becomes taxing. They find themselves under pressure for CSI. I think that's a reason why we get a phone call as well, or hearing about it from a peer. The pressure to get more cars for their shop without adding more personnel or more advisors. We've had guys who've used us to actually add more appointments to their schedule without hiring a single more technician or advisor because of the additional bandwidth. And I think there's really the industry split between a defensive mindset of cutting costs and trying to squeeze every nickel out of your customers and out of your business, which is fine. It's worked for many years. And then the shift, as I'm seeing, the growth mindset of how are we investing in culture, investing in our people, and less investing in long-term customer relationships and retention. And those are the type of dealers I think are attracted to our model and who we want to help with grow their business. We are very cost effective though. When you compare all the replacement costs, we're usually 90 to 110% of replacement costs when we come in, when you factor damage claims and all of that. So I would say it's personnel, it's customer experience, all the things that we talked about usually leads to a phone call, and nothing like hearing from one of their peers about their experience with us.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Joel, how does our audience reach out? How do they get more information on CITRIN? Who do they contact at your company? Tell us the next step.
Yeah, I was joking with these guys, but we've invested all of our overhead into supporting our current clients. And so we don't have a sales team yet. It's the last department we're trying to build out here in the next year. So I'm happy to talk to anybody anywhere in the country. My cell phone is listed. You guys can reach out. Go to our website, citrin.co, or shoot me an email, joel@citrin.co. And if I can be a sounding board as you're looking to improve your own operations, happy to share anything that I've learned over the years that could be beneficial to you.
Ed, very refreshing. So
absolutely. And the audience should take a lot from this.
Yeah. Joel, thank you so much. First time on the roundtable. We'd like to invite you back. Maybe come back in just a couple months and let's talk some more about some best practices. Again, I took a lot of notes here, and let's find out what some of the best dealers are doing and how you're working with them as well at CITRIN.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Joel Furno, everybody. He's with CITRIN Automotive Hospitality. Reach out to him at citrin.co. His email and phone number are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Ed, thank you for joining us. Your perspective is very important, and we value you here greatly at the Roundtable.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Ed Roberts and Joel Furno from CITRIN Automotive Hospitality here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.